So now in the previous video, we talk about normal procedure. So whenever when you want to do a maintenance, whenever there is a change need to be done, so we go through with the process, remember. So that means we do the approval, we do the testing, right? We do the documentation, audit trail, so on and so forth, right? But what if emergency happen? Something like this situation, the Amazon servers are down and e-banking system is down because it has to be up and running all the time because people from different regions wanted to do the online shopping and people in different regions want to do the continued banking services. So if any case that servers are down, say for example, servers could be down midnight and the people were still trying to do e-banking services. They want to transfer some funds before the next working day starts. So because they want to continue their business. So in this situation, if you try to go back to our normal procedure and find the approval and do the testing, it takes a very long time to fix it. Okay, so in this case in this case we have to fix it as soon as possible because there's an emergency. Every second the system is down, definitely an issue for the organization, for the bank, for the Amazon, as well as issues from the regulators as well. So now in this situation we don't have time to go through the normal procedure. We should fix the issue as soon as possible. So that is, we call it emergency. So this kind of situation we should have a different approach. Okay, the approach we call it as emergency change. So now what are the emergency changes? What does it mean by emergency change basically? So emergency change means that we want to fix the server, fix the issue as soon as possible. So that means every organization should have procedures exist already. That means procedures, remember, policies and procedures come from the senior management we discussed before. So senior management should think about beforehand this kind of emergency would happen. If this kind of emergency would happen, how we're going to react it. So that means they should come up with the procedure, and then when the emergency situation comes in, they simply execute the procedure. So procedure should exist, come from the senior management. But at the same time, whatever change we should do, make sure that we do not compromise the integrity of the system. That's very important as well, right? Okay. And then how we do the emergency change. That's the next question. Can you guys think about the ways to do it? How we do the emergency change is something called emergency ID. Say for example, midnight, only 1 or 2% may be within the organization. Everybody's definitely going sleeping in their places. So whenever the emergency situation happens, whoever programmer first find the issue, whoever the technical people find the issue, going to contact to they said that okay, as I mentioned to you guys before, there should be a procedure exist, right? In that procedure we should have it, okay, which senior manager we should contact in the event of emergency. Sometimes they might have a roster saying that okay, who will be kind of on call or maybe willing to accept the phone calls in a particular date of a week or something like that. Okay, so then the program is going to communicate to the senior manager and inform the senior manager that there's an emergency happening indeed. So what senior manager does in this is, senior manager will create a ID or authentication ID called emergency ID and pass it to the programmer who's on duty at that time to fix the system as soon as possible. Okay. Now the issue is this: when we do the emergency ID, we bypass all the approval and testing. So that means programmer quickly fix the issue as soon as possible. So we will be compromising, or we will speed up the testing process. That is the biggest compromise we do. When we fix emergency, the biggest thing we compromise is the testing, because with minimal testing, because our motive is to up and running the server as soon as possible, right? So now we can find some examples in the industry for the last 10-15 years, because this is emergency as it's a very powerful feature. Sometimes the programmer and the senior manager team together, and then a programmer or maybe technical guy who's working at night time purposely shut the system down and call the senior manager. It's a kind of setup, and then emergency ID is being created, and then of course both of them do some bad things, maybe that some personal benefit, change the programs for the personal benefit. So these kind of things are very common happen. So how we are going to react? What are the controls that we have it for this kind of fraud, against this kind of fraud? So can you guys think about what we can do for that? Is it a good idea to have another senior manager involved in? And then is it possible that three of them can get together? So we can't keep going, right? So now we have a good solution for that, for in this case, which is called audit trail. But remember, audit trail is something that we created. Whenever that emergency ID is being created, then there will be audit trail, offsite, system generated, and we keep record who's the programmer and who's the supervisors given created the emergency ID. That has to be recorded. That's very important here, okay? And probably we have alert email sent to the senior management, okay, maybe CIO, that emergency ID is being created for special purposes. So that put their attention as well. Then at the end of the day, somebody can come and check it out and see what exactly they have done in terms of fixing these issues. So audit trail is, we call it detective control, remember? So we have a preventive control, detective control, and corrective control. Audit trail is a detective control, so we can detect whatever the fraud happens, if any case, yes. Okay, right. Now we'll look at it. What are steps we should follow after emergency ID has been created, issued, right? So usually we are following similar steps what we have done before, but it's more speed up process. So we are migrating from library to testing environment, but in this case no need approval, because emergency ID can be used to do the migration, okay? And then we do a very limited testing, and then we are going to fix the problem, and then we're going to implement it. But now look at here. When we implement, we don't implement in the production environment. Why is it? Because change control board has not looked at the changes has been made. So it's still there is a possibility that the senior manager and the programmer team up together, or even programmer himself without knowledge of the senior manager did something bad. So we don't know. So in this case, now system is running on emergency environment, okay? Not the usual production environment. The next question that I would ask you guys is this: what is the difference between production environment and emergency environment? Can you guys think what would be the difference? So the difference between production environment and emergency environment is, production environment we have all the features, and emergency environment we call it limited features. Let me give you guys an example, okay? We are talking about the e-banking system, service down, so we fix it as soon as possible under emergency, using emergency ID and emergency environment. So in this case, our customers can do fund transfer, right? Under normal production environment, say assume that in one time we can transfer $200,000 at one time. In the emergency environment, we scale down to probably 20,000. That's what we call limited features. Some of the features not necessarily not urgent, may not be available at the emergency environment as well. So that's the difference between production environment and emergency environment. Now the question asking is this: can we run the emergency environment for a long time? That may not be the best idea, right? So because we just fix it temporarily, but we have to do something else now. So now tell me, after fixing emergency environment, what is the next thing what we should do as soon as possible? Can you guys think about it? Yes, the next thing what we should do is to go back to the normal procedure as soon as possible. Remember, we discussed in the previous videos that normal procedure. We submit the request and get the approval and do the proper testing and audit trail, documentation, so on and so forth. We go back to normal procedure. That's extremely important, to go back to the normal procedure. Okay, right? So this is, then what happens is this: after we go back normal procedure and then we fix it for longer period of time, and then we retire the emergency environment, and then we are not running under production environment.